grandson of Charles E. Barber, the great-great-grandson of William Barber.
I'm John Frost. I'm president of the Barber Coin Collectors Society and education director for the Liberty Seated Collectors Club.
This is such a fortuitous meeting of some numismatic personalities. How did you originally meet?
Yep. Well, I was at the Houston Coin Show, and I got an email to the Barber Collectors Society website, and it said basically, my husband is the great-grandson of Charles Barber and great-great-grandson of William Barber. We have some of their artifacts and we'd kind of like some advice. And that started this whole adventure.
Right.
So,
And how did you originally find out about the collecting societies?
Well, my wife gave it to me as a present, actually a membership to the magazine probably about 15 years ago. And I'm not really a coin collector, and it would sort of stack up on the dining room table and oftentimes be unread, and eventually our membership lapsed. But it's sort of, we're in the process of downsizing and looking at all this memorabilia and trying to understand, is it something that has value, to people other than ourselves? Should we just get rid of it? And so that's what generated the email to you.
Yep, and it just turned out that on my way home from Houston, I was literally driving right by where they lived, so they invited me to stop in, and it was wonderful to meet them both.
And for our viewers that don't know, quick synopsis, who was Barber?
So Charles E. Barber was the sixth chief engraver of the U.S. Mint from 1880 to 1917, and he designed the Liberty Head, or Barber coins. His father, William Barber, was the fifth chief engraver of the Mint, and he designed the 20-cent piece and the trade dollar. William was chief engraver from 1869 until his death in 1879.
And what are your first recollections of your grandparents?
So my first recollections of my grandmother was basically at Christmas dinners, and she would tell stories of Dear Papa, and Dear Papa was Charles Barber, and basically how she, as a young girl, went off to Europe on a long trip at the age of 19. So this is my grandmother, Edith Barber Mosley, and I referred to her, I called her by Dee Dee, was my nickname for Dee Dee. So one of the stories that Dee Dee would tell over and over again was her trip to Europe when she was 19 years old. It was in 1905. She was there with her father, Charles Barber, on an official mint business. She kept a very extensive diary, page after page of handwritten notes, tickets, a detailed itinerary, how they began in Naples and ended in Liverpool, and they traveled back to the United States on the Carpathia, and there's a picture of the Carpathia, which was the ship that rescued the Titanic after the Titanic sinking. And one of the special days that Dee Dee would talk about was the 4th of July, where they took the little flag that they were carrying, a small flag that had been given to them by Teddy Roosevelt, and hung it out their window, and how that she felt very, very patriotic on that day. She'd been away from the United States by that time for almost 3 months, and I think she was a little bit homesick and missing the U.S. So this is the actual flag that they carried. It was presented to my great-grandfather by Teddy Roosevelt. It has 39 stars, which is a very unusual number of stars because there were actually never 39 states in the United States. It went from 38 to 40, and it was 39 because it was North Dakota and South Dakota were split into two. So in any event, this is the flag that they carried, and one of my grandmother's most prized possessions was in their living room on the wall ever since I can remember. So this was my grandmother and her son Charles Barber Mosley in 1943. My uncle was in the Navy back during the war. And this is my great-grandfather, Charles Barber, holding my uncle in 1916 at the Jersey Shore, the last known photo of my great-grandfather.
So one of the first things that Tripp showed me was this remarkable photo, never before seen, of Charles Barber. And I asked, can we take it out of the frame to get a good picture? And he said, absolutely. We took it out, and when I turned it over, in the back there, on the back there is written, "Dear Papa, Mother's father, Charles Barber."
So this was another one of Dee Dee's prized possessions. It was a painting of Dear Papa, her father, that was in the living room.
And when the first time I saw this, I said, you know, this is the nicest portrait of Charles Barber I could ever imagine. And the detail on this miniature is exquisite. And it's just a remarkable rendition, and it's as fresh as the day it was made.